Tell me how you got involved in quilting.
Well, that's a rather interesting story. In the summer of 1987, I broke my ankle, and it was the summer that Oliver North was on trial, and it was a beautiful summer, and I was locked in the house with only Oliver North. I know you could read a book or write, but it just didn't seem the thing to do. So I had always wanted to quilt, so I said, well, since I'm on lockdown, if you will, I stumbled to the fabric store with the help of my husband, and I bought some fabric, and I hand-pieced queen size Ohio Star, which has about 20 pieces in each block. And I hand-pieced that and I put it together. But after that, I didn't know how to quilt it, so I went back to work. And fortunately, I retired the next year. And then I took a class with Lulu Williams, and she taught me how to put the sandwich together and actually quilt it. It took me a very long time, and the people in the class were very inspiring because they said, you must finish this one. If you don't, you'll never become a quilter. So I stuck with it. And the rest, as they say, is history. It's relaxing for one thing, and it's therapeutic. It gets your mind away from other things. My daughter says I have a creativity day when I'm involved in that. But it's relaxing, and it gives you a chance to, well, once you get involved in quilting, you become a fabric junkie, if you will. So I love going through my fabrics and just looking at those and imagining different quilts. So it's a good thing.
Today you are here because of one particular quilt that is on exhibit.
Well, that quilt I started in 1990. I had bought some fabric from a vendor at the African World Festival. He was selling fabrics and actual clothing, and I said, I wonder if you have any scraps in your studio. And he said, indeed I do. I said, well, would you send me some? And he said yes, so I sent him $30. And one day this box came, and it was full of all these fabrics, these scraps that he had cleaned up his studio. So I started to sort of audition them for a quilt, and at that time then it so happened that Nelson Mandela was released from prison, and I thought, well, with his release I was inspired to dedicate this quilt to him, so I did that with the African pieces, and I did have the pleasure and the privilege to see him when he came to Detroit, so that's how I did that Mandela quilt. It's Mandela Freed 1990. I put that on it, and then I used some African figures in the quilting itself. And of course, it's the blocks are called King's X. So that's about it. Just that title. I just wanted to commemorate that date, as we often remember dates. You know, in school we have to remember dates of important subjects and events, and I said, well, we should remember that time for him.
And what do you make of all of these quilts that were not made to sleep under?
I like the idea because it's another way to preserve history, to promote history, because it's one thing to have it in books as it should be, but it's another to have it in such a visual way that you can look and interpret it as you would art, which I guess art is paintings do the same thing. You just are doing it with fabric. But I like the idea. They're educational for a number of reasons. One, they show you how to, there's discipline in them. Absolute discipline. You have to, you're going to measure in some way. You have to decide what colors and what fabrics, so they are educational that way. And then if there is a story there, that's one thing. And even if there is no story, I think it just lets you know that this is one way to portray art, or to express yourself, which is very important, quality of life.
What would you hope that people come away from looking at your quilt that's on display here?
Well, I hope they would just be inspired to know that people have made great sacrifices for us, for all of us, and we need to remember them, and we need to try to make some sacrifice ourselves.